What's up, guys, and welcome to my review of Mortal Kombat X for the PlayStation 4 console system. This is my first game review for the channel, and as you can see, there's a little bit of an update needed. This is low budget reviews after all. So if you've got a short attention span, you might want to stay clear because this is going to be somewhat of a sit down, informal review. So it's not going to be anything compared to the likes of IGN or GameSpot. In fact, the less said about IGN, the better. This is really just me giving you my thoughts, all coming from someone, as a lot of you do know, someone who's been with the Mortal Kombat series for, well, since the very first game, 1992. So without further ado, with that in mind, let's get cracking on. So I'm going to try and do everything right now in one take in regards to this first section anyway, which is gameplay. We're going to talk about the gameplay foundations. Now, gameplay in any game is the most important thing. This is above graphics, detail, even sound. Nowadays games are all about immersion, you know what I mean? But there's only one factor that you should be concerned about first and foremost, and that's how the game plays. So let's talk about what the game Mortal Kombat X has to offer us. So I've made a list here, just because I haven't got the best mind, the best brain on me. So I want to talk about the variations. I like the variations in Mortal Kombat X. I think they're really cool. The only downside about them, I'm a very impatient person. Well, I can be a very impatient person. It's not really one of my best qualities. It's not really a good quality anyway to have. But the point is that because there's so many characters in this, well, there's, what is there, about 20 or 20, mid-20s, not counting DLC obviously, then every character obviously, as we know, has 3 versions of them, so that just triples everything. And for me, it's like almost playing an RPG. I'm not a huge RPG fan, just because RPGs are all about exploring your own worlds as you want, you know what I mean? I'm quite a linear guy. I'm quite straightforward. I like to be told from point A to point B. That's why I like fighting games, It's just mano a mano. Whoever wins, wins. Whoever loses, loses. But the variations, although they can be quite overwhelming, I thought they were a great addition. NetherRealm Studios were very, very involved in, made sure that everyone was aware that the variations would be the thing that Mortal Kombat X had, to define it from all the previous games before. So with that in mind, it's great to see, the versus screen, and then you've got, someone picking ninjutsu, Scorpion. So immediately you can think, okay, so what does he have? He has swords. That means he's got more reach, and that probably means he's going to be really offensive. So it's a good it's a good indication of how your opponent's about to play. So I like that aspect of it. So variations, it was kind of a risk, but I feel that it paid off. The next thing I want to talk about is the mechanics, how the game feels and flows, everything like that. So in regards to how it feels, it's a very fast game. It's certainly faster, I believe. Yeah, it's much more faster than Mortal Kombat 2011. We're just going to say Mortal Kombat for this review. And I feel that because of that, that puts more pressure on either opponent to think on their feet and think, okay. And that brings me up to my next thing, which they included from Mortal Kombat 3, which is the run mechanic. Now, the run mechanic is such a useful tool, and it's more than a run mechanic, you know what I mean? It's a mix-up. It can be used as a mix-up. It can be used as a mind game, You get someone on a hard knockdown from afar, and you run up towards them, so they're going to be thinking in a split second, shit, what am I going to do right now? So when you're running, is your opponent going to be waking up with a wake-up attack, or is your opponent going to wait to see what you do? That's a 50-50 thing right there, but then it's going to be split into even more, because when you're running up to them, you can do so many things, and a lot of people don't take full advantage of the run. And I love using the run mechanic. If any of you've seen my my live streams on Twitch, you'll know that I like to run a lot. Again, because it puts pressure on the opponent, but I can run up to my opponent and think, okay, I'll do a sweep maybe, or I'll do an overhead, or just grab them, or I'll just block, you know what I mean? That's multiple options right there, and that's what's so great about having a run mechanic in a fast game, So in terms of the way it feels, the way it flows, the way it moves, the mechanics, the run button, and also I got to talk about the throw cancels as well. This is more for a not a pro player, but someone who's thinks of themselves a bit more advanced than a casual player, because the throw cancel is stammered there. The throw cancel is basically another mix-up, isn't it? It's a 50-50 chance of once you perform the throw cancel, you're going to hit low, or you're going to hit as an overhead, or maybe even a throw. You know what I mean? So that's three options there, and again, the opponent's going to be thinking on their feet for a split second. And also, I want to talk about the balances in the game as well. So, is Mortal Kombat X a balanced fighter? No, of course it isn't. Can you name a balanced fighter in any fighting game? I don't think you can. I don't think there's such a thing. I think, to me, in my personal opinion, in terms of a series at least, in terms of balances, I think the most balanced fighter out there, in terms of the series again, is the Dead or Alive series, and especially for me, Dead or Alive 4. I love Dead or Alive 4. I wish people still played it, and I wish they brought it back. But it was such a good fighting game, and no matter who you picked, they had their own strengths and weaknesses. But at the end of the day, you had a counter system there, a high counter, a low counter, a forward counter, for punch, kicks, whatever. And yet, if you learned it, if you really studied it, then it was anybody's game. It really was. But Mortal Kombat X, there's going to be top tier characters in any fighting game. I mean, who's top tier in Mortal Kombat X? Well, we know Kung Lao is still a top tier character. Very, very fast. A lot of people also use Liu Kang, but he's pretty much easy to read. The fucking Aaron Black. I've not even played as him. I'll tell you this right now. I've never played as Aaron Black. I've not touched him, but I've seen other people play him, and he's got some crazy mix-ups, and I think he's one of the most unpredictable characters. And Sonic Fox, if you watch the pro circuits, if you watch those tournament scenes, you just know right there. I mean, he's a crazy character. So I definitely put Aaron Black as a top tier character. And there's bottom tier characters as well. Ferrator being bottom tier, in my opinion, anyway. Ferrator has great movesets, and I love using Ferrator. It's one of my favorite characters, Ferrator. Just because the character's fun to play, and they're not top tier characters, you know what I mean? But this is fighting games, guys. There's not going to be any balanced fighters out there, whatever, no matter how many updates whichever companies decide to bring out, patches, this, that, and the other. So overall, gameplay wise, the game's got a lot going for it, and it does offer a lot of replayability. We'll get into why it offers a lot of replayability in a second, but in terms of gameplay, it gets a thumbs up from me. So the next thing I want to review is the graphics and the design. Okay, I want to start with the level design, especially because this is as high as it goes in terms of how I feel about the design. Okay, I think the levels look great. I really do, and I've got to give a special mention to the Jinsei Chamber level and the Sky Temple level. Now the Jinsei Chamber level, just the barrage of colors that come through the screen and reflect on the characters, the shadows as well, just the colors, the textures, it's absolutely beautiful, and it's probably my favorite level to look at, to play on, in terms of its appearance, you know what I mean? And with the Sky Temple level as well, you've got great effects from the rain. It's a nice dark level, and actually I want to talk about very briefly for this section the fatality aspect of this. Now, depending on what level you pick, you're going to have a slightly different looking fatality because of the textures, colors, what have you. And a prime example of this is Jason's first fatality, where he slashes you 3 times and then just like splits you open, splits you in half, whatever. That looks absolutely great on the Sky Temple level. Again, you've got the rain, you've got the wind, you've got the dark atmosphere, and you've also got the lightning coming through here and there as well. So it really does, when you perform the fatality on someone, and you have that that typical slasher reaction. It just looks great on that level, you know what I mean? So I got to give NetherRealm their props, you know what I mean? They've done really well, and yes, it is a testament to the next gen technology, and again, I'm reviewing this on PS4, so I can't vouch for the Xbox One, but I imagine on either console, you're looking at some really lovely, juicy level designs. The next thing I want to talk about is character designs. Now, hallelujah, They have sorted out the females and made them look less mannish and more feminine for Mortal Kombat X. So that deserves a bit of a round of applause from me. The female characters do look way better. Just Kitana in Mortal Kombat she looked better with her mask on, you know what I mean? And Melina looked better with her mask off. Well, maybe not, that's going a bit too far. But, it's nice to see that I'm guessing they've had a barrage of comments and criticism from people saying, let's sort it out because, we want to see some really nice looking girls on our screen, do you know what I mean? You can't, look at Shiva, you know what I mean? Shiva's never been the most attractive female, but if Shiva was in Mortal Kombat X, I wonder what it would have done to her. I wonder if they've made her a bit more appealing, do you know what I mean? But anyway, it's nice to see that they've done that finally. Now, we're going to talk about really the four main new characters in terms of story. So that's Cassie Cage, Jackie Briggs, Takeda, and Kung Jin. Now, I think Cassie Cage passes. I think she's great. I think she looks great, and I think she's a testament to her two parents. So they've got her design really well. Takeda next. I think Takeda's just about passable in terms of a character, in terms of design. I wasn't really sold on his whips. When I first saw his demonstration on one of the combat casts, I thought this guy he's not really selling it to me. You know what I mean? But I kind of grown towards him a little bit now, but just about. Jackie Briggs next. Jackie Briggs is, she's a lesser character, really. I mean, these characters don't have much development. They did try to go back in time to give more character development. Again, I'll get to that in the story section of this review in a little while. But she's decent enough, and she does look pretty for a female game character. Now, lastly, I want to talk about Kung Jin. I hate Kung Jin. Okay, I hate his playstyle. I hate his story, what story there is, and I just don't like his design. I hate his face. I hate him as a character. I hate his voice actor. I just don't like him. He's one of my most hated Mortal Kombat characters. He's in that list now. I'd rather not talk about him anymore. So we're going to go straight on to the next section. So now let's talk about sound. I love it. I really do. I think the sound in this game, this is the best sounding Mortal Kombat game ever. In fact, it's one of the best sounding, goriest games. Now, Mortal Kombat has never really suffered from poor sound design. They had to compensate for, guts splattering on the floor or arms being ripped off, heads being cut off, what have you. But in this game, they've really stepped up a mark and then some, to be honest. In fact, they've gone so far as if to make you think, is this really allowed in a computer game? You know what I mean? It's just, there's a prime example. Really, there's two prime examples that come to mind, and that's just thinking about it. Ermax. I got to give the shout out to Ermax first. I think it's his first fatality, where just watch this. If a game can make me gag, you've got me by the balls, seriously. And the other fatality is Takeda's as well. Now, again, I wasn't really particularly fond of Takeda, but one of the things that attracted me to him straight away was when I saw his fatality, where he gets his whip, whatever it is, flings it in the opponent's mouth, and then activates the blades on either end of the whip. They go right down, and then pulls everything out, you know what I mean? It's one of those God, I'm gonna gag. Nasty shit, innit? So again, it's just a testament to how well they've created this sound system. And you know what? There's actually a video. If you didn't see it, I'll post it right now about how they made the actual sounds for this game. So have a look at this.
That was perfect.
And now you know. In terms of sound design, I can't really fault them. There is a nitpick, another nitpick, kind of a big one in my eyes anyway. But I guess they can justify it. Basically, to me, in order to have a great fatality, you need three fundamentals. One is your character needs to have some sort of oomph in how they perform the fatality. So whether that's a proper swing of the knife, or this is really really sadistic. So it is a computer game, guys. Or for example, Kano's fatality where he blows a hole in your opponent's head, and he lets out like that. You really feel that. The second thing you need is the obvious thing, and that's the sound effects of whatever's falling out of your stomach or whatever getting cut off and split open, what have you. The third thing is something that I think is the most important thing, and that's the reaction from your opponent. How they sell it, how they sell the fatality. And a prime example of a good fatality in Mortal Kombat X, this game, is Melina's, where she pounces on the opponent and just rips up the guts, you know what I mean? And especially the women, actually, they can let out some really, really disturbing screams, you know what I mean? So I just wish that they'd had more fatalities where the opponent really sells the fatality. I got to give a special mention, I guess, to Jax in Mortal Kombat 2, the arm rip. That's one of my favorite fatalities just because of the scream, you know what I mean, from the opponent.
Jax wins.
But overall, I think that this game has the best sound effects system of any Mortal Kombat game, and again, of any gory game in general. I've got to be quick now because I'm losing the light here. Sorry about that, guys. I want to also talk about the music as well. I think the music is subpar. I think it's average. There are a few tracks actually that I think are really banging in Mortal Kombat X, and one in particular, I can't remember the stage name, but it's the first level you fight on in story mode, where you have the it's just buses and cars all crashed up together. It's that level, and it's the second round especially where the guitars really kick in. It's like I really like that one. I might try and find that on YouTube or something like that and convert it to my MP3. But yeah, in terms of the music, only subpar. And finally, in regards to sound, I've got to mention this as well. The character voices. Now, I've always said, well, not always said, but recently I've said that I've never really been fond on some of the characters' voices, and a prime example of that for me is Reptile. I hate Reptile, and I guess this can fall into the character design category as well. But they fucked up the character big time, you know what I mean? And I think they've done him a disservice. He was once a cool, mysterious character, and it's like what they did with Kane in WWE, you know what I mean? Ever since they took his mask off, I mean, look at him now, corporate Kane, you know what I mean, in a suit and everything like that. That's what happens when you drag a character out and you run out of storylines, you know what I mean? So I think that's kind of what happened anyway to Reptile. And one I got to mention this as well, Shinnok. I swear that the character design for Shinnok was based off of John Hurt, and I swear he sounds just like the actor John Hurt as well.
And I want him to understand what terror really means.
Finally, I want to talk about modes. So there are a lot of modes in Mortal Kombat X, and Mortal Kombat has always been known to have decent modes. Well, ever since Mortal Kombat 2011. I mean, they've had great modes beforehand. You had the crits, you had chess combat, and deception, and Mortal Kombat kart racing or some shit. That was ridiculous. But anyway, they've never been short on modes. So I'm going to refer to my list here. So what have we got here? This is just the majority of them. So we've got arcade ladder, your standard arcade ladder, where you beat the ladder and you get a special ending. And on that as well, the endings are a little bit better than they were before, a bit more involved, and a bit more appealing to look at and to watch as well. So it makes going through the arcade ladder with each character quite more appealing now. So you've also got test your luck, test your might, all that lot. You've got more custom ladders. You've got online towers. You've got online versus as well, King of the Hill, survival mode, and factions in the crypt. Now, I want to talk about factions first. I'm not a huge fan of factions, and when they announced it, I wasn't too keen on it. I think it's kind of a broken system. I mean, who won the first few faction wars? It was the Lin Kuei, and I knew everyone was going to go to Lin Kuei. I went straight to Brotherhood of Shadow because I like to think of myself as a dark person. and everyone went to Sub-Zero's clan. You know what I mean? I just think it's a broken system. And now, well, not now, but for the last 2 or 3 times now, the last time I checked anyway, Special Forces were winning it, and I think they were kind of a pity faction. You know what I mean? Because he wants to join Special Forces. It's so cliche and a bit kind of like kiddie-like, which is okay if you're like 14, 15. But then again, if you're 14, 15, you really shouldn't be playing this game. But then again, who am I to say that? Play the game if you want. It's fine. But I think it's a bit of a broken system, and I don't really like it too much. It's a nice little thing, but to waste a whole online concept on it, in my eyes, waste it. Well, it's a bit of a waste. You know what I mean? So I'm not a huge fan of the faction war. The crypt is easily the best crypt of any Mortal Kombat game. I think they've done really well with it. However, I really wish that they put more interesting stuff in it rather than just unlocking your fatalities, your brutalities, concept art, and music. I don't want to hear music. I don't know if you guys do this, but do you like turn on your console specifically to go, you know what, I fancy listening to this stage. Maybe you do if you're throwing a Mortal Kombat party or something like that. But who's going to want to listen? If no one plays Mortal Kombat, who's going to want to listen to their soundtracks? You know what I mean? I don't know. If you like listening to them, that's fine. But for me, they're a bit of a waste. They're a bit of a waste. You make my tongue tie. And okay, you've also got story mode. Now, I called a lot of stuff in one of my previous videos, and for the majority, I called it. Some of the things I called, I didn't call, but there are things like the death of Quan Chi that I called as well. You can look at this. My video is called something like Mortal Kombat X character and roster theories, speculations, something like that. It's from about a year ago from now. So if you haven't watched it, look it up and you'll see what I mean. You know, so I'm kind of like 70% correct on my assumptions and my theories, which I was really happy to see. I was happy to see. Now, if you haven't played the story and don't watch this, you know what I mean. You must have played it by now if you're watching this video. So spoiler alert. I think the story was safe, and I didn't like that. I don't like this story as much as I liked Mortal Kombat's. I think that this one was so safe that they were afraid to take too many risks on it. Again, I'm going to go back to Reptile. I hate what they've done with him. They've made him look like a lapdog now, and I just don't like that. Baraka, I think they stepped up in this game. I love Baraka in this game. Even though you don't get to play him, I think he was more like brutal, big, brutish, menacing, not as dumb as he was in Mortal Kombat. So I really like Baraka in this one, and then they go and kill him off, or Devora kills him. And that's another thing. I swear, there's a lot of Game of Thrones references in the story mode. Now, just if you've watched Game of Thrones, watch it. Just watch it, okay? And you'll see what I mean. There's a lot of references there, and a lot of, there's things like, I don't want to say just in case you haven't watched it, but fuck it, There's people dying here, like there's a few character deaths in the game, which was inevitable, really. But that's just watch the story mode and you'll see what I mean. And then comment down below if you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean. I've only played the story mode once and a half. I really could not be fucked to play the rest of it. I just didn't really enjoy it. I wasn't really engaged in it as much as I was the previous Mortal Kombat game. But I did like to see that Scorpion and Sub-Zero. God, Scorpion! I can't. Okay, Scorpion is really pissing me off right now. He's fine now, but it was just the whole. He just seemed like a really naive, dumb guy. You know what I mean? It was like the answers were like right in front of him, and I just see him as a bit of a whiny bitch now. Do you know what I mean? It's just I've been with the series since the first one, like I keep saying, but it's just. Come on, mate. Open your eyes. This guy's trying to tell you something here. Just let him talk. All right, and then you'll see that he's not to blame for your demise and your family and clan and all that stuff. But I'm really happy to see that Scorpion and Sub-Zero were finally able to make amends, and they killed Quan Chi. Lovely to see Serena from Mortal Kombat Mythologies, Quan Chi's one of Quan Chi's bitches. I like Serena as a character. I hope that she's involved in the next Mortal Kombat game in lieu of Quan Chi's death, something like that. I'd love to see Serena as a fully rounded playable character. I really would. And also Li Mei as well. That was interesting to see here. Again, these characters were very, very minor roles, but it was really good to see them, you know what I mean? And Fujin, of course. I thought Fujin would have made it into this game. In fact, I did kind of call it at one point. But he kind of is. You just can't play him. So as a whole, story mode was okay. It's visually appealing, very safe. I kind of wish they took a different route here and there, but that's just my personal opinion. Now I could go into so much more detail. There's a lot of things I still haven't talked about, but again, I'm pressed for time, and I do have a limited amount of time left before I'm due to have a date with the missus. So the verdict: the game is solid. It's got replayability. You've got your modes to keep you busy. I'm going to give something that I haven't talked about yet, which I will talk about right now, is the online connection. I hate NetherRealm Studios when it comes to online play. They need to sort that shit out. They really do, because I love playing this game. And if you've watched any of my streams in regards to Mortal Kombat X, you'll know that there's a little game I like to play with my viewers called it's a shot game. It's a drinking game. And whenever I mention lag or netcode, those two words, you have to take a shot or a swig of your drink. I mention it like once every 3-4 minutes, because I do consider myself a really good player, but I can't showcase that when I'm up against such bad connection, you know what I mean? So the scoring for this review is going to go down considerably. Also, I have to take into account that I'm not too fond on factions either. But other than that, apart from a few nitpicks here and there, I'm going to give Mortal Kombat X a solid 8 out of 10. If you're expecting me to be quite fanboyish about this review, you couldn't be more wrong. In fact, because I love the series so much, I'm more strict on it. Do you know what I mean? So it's an 8 out of 10 for me. Again, it's a solid game, and I really do think that it can keep you busy. The interactions between characters as well, that's something that they didn't have to do, but it does make a difference, and you'll be watching them for months and months. Some of them are hashed out, repeated here and there, so it does feel a little cheap, but I can't fault them for that because there's so many characters, so many interactions. Again, they didn't need to do that, so full props to those guys. Full props to NetherRealm for this game, for bringing it out to a really good level. And that's basically all I've got to say. Again, I could say more, but I'm going to leave it at that. We're pressing on to the 30-minute mark now, so this is going to be a long upload. I want to say just a quick note. I haven't really released any videos in the last week and a half, 2 weeks. I've been very, very busy. It's just I'm working things out in my personal life right now, so you'll have to bear with me. But if you like this review, let me know in the comments below. There will be another review coming up. There's some channel updates that I will let you guys know about in the near future. I have to sort that out soon myself as well. If you want to visit my Twitter page, follow me on Twitter at the 420p guy, all one word. And if you want to view some of my Twitch games, excuse me, I'm losing my voice now, then it's the same name, the 420p guy. So again, thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys for the next video, whichever it may be. And you've got a surprise coming your way. So I look forward to some more cool stuff. Cheers.